Hi, this is Jesse from startcopywriting.com and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking all about how to start your copywriting career. And I'm going to share with you exactly how I got started in the freelance copywriting business. Now, before I begin, let me tell you about where I am today, so that you have something to look forward to and you know what it's like to be on the other side. So nowadays I just have a fantastic lifestyle. I get to work wherever I want. You know, I can bring my laptop down to a cafe in my local area. I can go to the beach with a pen and a pad and do some writing out in nature. I've traveled overseas. I've been to Asia, I've been to Europe, I've been all over the world, and I've worked from a small laptop and really had a great time while writing. It's also fantastic because I don't have a boss, which means I don't have to go into the office at 9 AM on Monday morning. In fact, sometimes I'm in the office or doing my work much later, and it's just a great lifestyle to have. All that freedom of time and also freedom of mobility, being able to work when and where you want is just fantastic. So how did I get to this place? How did I get to where I am today? Well, my story really starts back in school. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I was diagnosed very early on in school as having a learning disability. So what happened was, in the first year of school, I was struggling to learn the alphabet, and my teacher actually sent me home, where I would go, and my father very patiently taught me the alphabet from our living room floor at home. And so I struggled really throughout high school. I struggled in primary school, high school, and as a result I had such a tough time really learning my subjects at school. I was often in the bottom of my class, that when I graduated from high school, just barely, having failed many subjects including English, which is kind of surprising nowadays, but I never went to university. So I graduated from high school, I never made it to university. Instead, I worked in all kinds of odd jobs. I was a fruit shop assistant, where I packed fruit in a fruit store, I packed shelves in a supermarket, I washed dishes in a restaurant, I was a telemarketer for a while, calling people at dinner time. And eventually I landed a job in sales. And I think it really was my interest in people and human behavior and psychology that got me interested and landed me a job in sales. So what a lot of people don't realize is sales is actually a really good training ground for becoming a copywriter. Because copywriting, at the end of the day, the principles of selling that you find in a sales position, whether you're knocking on doors or you're calling people on the phone, are very similar to the principles applied in copywriting. As they say, copywriting is merely salesmanship in print. So in one of the sales jobs I was working at, my boss had a library inside our office that was just full of books on selling and marketing and business. And I remember late one night, staying and working back late, that I stumbled upon a book in that library that was all about copywriting. And I still remember what that book was. It was called Advertising Secrets of the Written Word. And that author is Joseph Sugarman, who I had the pleasure of meeting in Las Vegas a few years ago. So I read a whole lot of books. Another great book I read was Web Copy That Sells by Maria Veloso. And finally, my third favorite book when it comes to learning copywriting that I read was Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. So a lot of people ask me, when you learned copywriting, how did you learn? And for me, the first thing I did, and the thing that I recommend you do, is you go out there and you study copywriting. Now again, I never did a university course on copywriting or marketing. My education was all self-education, and what I did was I went out and I devoured every single book I could find on the topic of copywriting and marketing and advertising. And those three books I've just mentioned are fantastic starting points for a new copywriter like yourself. So once I got all of this self-education, the next thing I started doing was, now I had a framework to work from. I understood what good advertising was simply by reading those books. So now I started to study and read and analyze all kinds of direct response advertising that I could see. I read newspaper ads, I read website copy, I read sales letters, I read direct mail that arrived in my mailbox, and basically I just analyzed and studied all of the advertising that I could see. And you begin to notice different patterns in good advertising and in bad advertising. And I would pick them apart and really analyze how I felt when I was reading these materials. So that really is your education, that's your university. It's the big wide world out there, and all of the advertising, whether you see it on websites or whether you see it in direct mail or on the backs of buses, that is what you're going to study. This is your craft, because eventually you are going to be writing the advertising. That's exactly what we do as copywriters. We're writing advertising both online and offline. So once I felt like I learned enough, once I felt knowledgeable in the world of copywriting, reading books, studying advertising, then I decided, I built up my confidence and I went out there, and a few friends of mine heard that I was now learning a lot about copywriting. They said, hey, why don't you write some advertising for us? And I actually wrote a direct mail piece and I believe some email campaigns for two friends of mine who needed some copywriting done, and that was me. So the great thing about working for friends was, first of all, there was no risk. I didn't charge them, so there was no real risk on my shoulders. And I felt more comfortable doing the first couple of ones for free. And I got a portfolio together from those first two jobs. And I also got the experience of working for clients and meeting deadlines. So I advise that once you fill your head with copywriting knowledge and start analyzing ads and sales letters out there, that one of the first things you want to do is actually start writing. And you can do that as practice. You can find products around where you are and you can write about them, and you don't have to show anyone your copywriting, but it's a good way to actually start writing. Or if you feel confident, I do recommend that you go and you write for some friends for free. And that will get you the experience, and hopefully if you do a good job, they'll give you a reference or a testimonial or feedback, and you'll basically be started. So you'll have, the beginnings of your copywriting career. So again, you don't need to study at university. There are courses available, but if you want to get started in the fastest amount of time, then you need to give yourself permission to start copywriting. And you do that by filling your head with knowledge, practicing writing, and then going out and working with some friends or colleagues to get your first couple of gigs, which will grow your confidence and give you experience in this field. Okay, so that's today's video lesson. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Again, my name's Jesse from startcopywriting.com, and I'll see you in the next video lesson.